Hello, this is Nicholas Webb, and I'm gonna talk about the Digimon Fusion American toys, and of course I'm comparing them to the Japanese toys. Of course, I only have the small gum toys, and when I say gum, these came with little bits of gum. It's probably not the best way to show this guy, but this is MetalGreymon from Japanese. Very straightforward. This is like a $5 toy. I bought like a whole the whole series of them for like 35, and here's the Greymon. And then these are the American toys. They are significantly larger, and I think they're just pretty cool. So I would say let's start comparing. So first off, I want to compare the male Bergermons. The pros and cons here. First of all, the pro for the American version is, oh, its size. It's huge. It is just ginormous. And the pro for this one is that it's in a lot of ways a little bit more, it's about as accurate as this one is actually, except this one has, like, comparatively, this one just has you can turn the head, open the mouth a little bit. There's not much of a mouth. And you can move his feet and legs, and it's, not much. Wow, this one, and doesn't stand up as well. This one, even though its neck is straight, it can move, you can move its legs. You can move its wings, which the other one you can't, and you can move its tail very nicely. Partly because the tail is going to be MetalGreymon's arm, but that's, and then, it has like the horn here, while this one doesn't have the horn on the back. If you notice the differences between them. This one doesn't have the horn sticking out because of the way it digivolves. It doesn't need it. And, it's kind of like, alright. Now, these are much different in a lot of ways, but I think the biggest thing is that they're the same character, and I think this one is more proportional to the show, while this one's more, well, actually, I'm not sure how it really goes. I think color-wise, I think this one is the better colors, because it just looks better. This one, on the other hand, extremely dark, and I don't think it really brings out the character as well. It's accurate in the one sense of what it looks like, but color-wise, it's not as good. Now, time for the one that this is like it's the one that really gets you thinking. The Greymon, the Fusion Greymon is what I'm gonna call it. And the thing is that I am kind of torn on them. In a lot of ways, these are more of a caricature or a chibi, semi-chibi or something form of the character, the American one. But it's more of a character. And there's more character to it. While this one is, again, it looks more like it's a darker color, and all the decals on these little Japanese ones are stickers. And this one's just basically, it's accurate, but it's, the color's extremely dark. So he's kind of he's the toy version, but he's not what you're used to seeing. They both have opening mouths. They both almost have exactly the same ability to move. I mean, except for the fact that, this guy just moves his head up and down, while the Japanese one just moves up and down, while this one, he can do whatever he darn well pleases. He can turn his head, he can move his jaw, he can basically act with the jaw. I mean, you can move it side to side, open it, close it, and the horns are just on there. It's pretty cool, and he has a lot of character to it. This one has these little two spines on his back, which I guess are the, while this one has the little one has the plug for the Digivolution right back there. So, as you can imagine, these are similar figures in the fact that they both combine together with the other one. Now, this one's pretty simple. Basically, you take apart MetalGreymon for the most part and just stick his pieces onto this Greymon. I mean, it's extremely simple, and you know, you just take them apart and stuff, and in a lot of ways, it's a lot more accurate. I believe if I remember correctly, I did a video about this, so it's no shock to anyone. But and if you want to, you can go. You know, it shouldn't be too far to find. I'm too lazy to look it up for you. Sorry. I might do it anyway. We'll see. You'll see when you look in the comment box to see if I posted it. Alright, see, I already got most of the transformation done. I just taken off this and take off the head, MetalGreymon's neck actually, and plugs in right back here. And I mean, this is this is basically what the show has. The claw just plugs into a peg on the arm, and this is the little one. And then you basically just have him with the cannon on his back. And you know, that's it. I mean, that is probably the best looking. That's awesome. This is an awesome figure. If you really want a good version of him, you probably should pick this thing up. If you can find it. Now, these two guys, there's kind of the instruction manual, and I'm going to do that first. The fusion of them in the instruction, but I kind of did some. I realized there's a better way to do it. So, for fusing, you basically have to take apart basically most of these guys. You know, you have to take off his feet, and you have to take up his head, and you even have to like take apart his jaw. And the jaw is what has the horns, if you had noticed it. So, and then you have like you take the other head off of MetalGreymon, and you take the jaw and stick it on there. And that's a pretty awesome head. I gotta admit, that's an awesome head. Sculpt is beautiful. Then you take apart MetalGreymon completely. Like take off his tail, which is going to be his arm. The MetalGreymon's arm. You take off his neck, and you take off the head of the neck. And the head will just snap into the tail of Greymon. And you know, you pop this off. Well, actually, you're gonna have to do that a little bit later. You basically take off the wings, and then you take off the legs of MetalGreymon. MetalGreymon goes to pieces here, more so than his other version. So basically, what you do is you take, and this is the part I don't like, is you take this and you plug it in there, and that's his torso. And then you take this and you plug it in here, and that's where the head goes, attached to that. Sorry if I mean, aim this a little bit higher. So as you can see, he's kind of, you know, he's rather tall. Okay, that's kind of weird because in the show he's not tall. So then you snap on the snap in the wings. And you take the arm that his right arm, he has a little right arm, and you put his left arm as the MetalGreymon arm. That was the tail. This guy's kind of neat. You basically plug in the back of his head with that, and then you plug it into this little peg on the back of the MetalGreymon. This piece of his arm just basically is unused and unstored. So these guys, MetalGreymon's feet, plug in, and they basically become the thigh, the shins of the guy. And then you plug those into the legs. Ugh. And, you know, and here you go. Let me move them both into camera view. Alright. Now, there's a leftover piece. The figure is decent-esque, but it's not really that good. I mean, it looks kind of goofy. So, now, and I sat down and I started thinking, okay, how would I do this? I mean, he comes off really tall, and he looks lanky. He doesn't have the same. He doesn't look as powerful. He looks more kind of. He just doesn't look as good. So, I've come to the conclusion on how you can fix this. First, you take off the top part, undo the legs, and take off the tail. And simply flip it around where the tail is going where the head used to plug in. Well, now the new torso. And you plug the legs back in. Thus one. And then to store this, you just plug it right here. In the back, basically where it used to be. Now, that makes him where he has a longer tail. But, guess what? In the show, he does have a longer tail. And then, you plug this in. So, he's now becomes he's shorter. And he's, I think in a lot of ways, a lot closer to his counterpart. A lot closer to the show. He's a little shorter and stockier, but I think that's about what he's supposed to be. He's supposed to be basically a powerhouse. Now, the only thing I wish it would happen is if there was a way for, you know, this with a tighter joint. But, for how it works, I think this is a good alternative to Transformer. Because I think this form looks pretty cool. You get a little bit more of a tail, and then if you really need it for posing, you can use his arm. You actually have a place to tuck away his arm. You have the claw. Now, comparing the two, and I guess I better drop down my angle a little. Alright, my comparison of them is simple. Is that as individual figures, I think these work awesome. Together, they could be better. I mean, they really could be. They should have been a little bit more on, like, making Greymon wear more MetalGreymon in a lot of ways, namely, like, the torso. It doesn't really work. So it'd be better if it was somehow MetalGreymon was more or less being worn. But in this form, I think it's acceptable visually. It's pretty accurate. The only thing that's off is how the spikes on his back look, but you don't see them anyway you don't see it in this form anyway. So it's interesting. I do like how this one has it where MetalGreymon is not as is not as being worn as he is in this one. Yeah, but there's a kind of the ball joint that connects them is loose. Personally, I plan to keep them where they're mostly he's just mostly standing. A lot of times I'm going to stand him up, I have his arm down. That way he's being held in place. It's a neat figure. If you like the character, it's great. If you really want an accurate one, honestly, you get these guys for their other forms per se, and then you go and you buy the one that's combined but it has the missiles on the back. Because that one's going to be more accurate to the figure. They could have done a better job on this figure, but at the same time, I want to encourage this type of Digimon toy. I think that they should try to keep this concept going long into the future, because I think it really helps. And this one is just more accurate, and it looks a little bit better. You know, it's a, you know, I mean, it's a little more accurate, but it's not, you know, it's not as accurate. I mean, it's kind of like, this one's a cheapo $5 one you get. You know, you buy two, it's like $10, you got this little thing. This guy, you know, he's more or less two big creatures. Two large sized toys, and you can get them after a while. I would say, if you're going to be picking up any Digimon toys, and you like the Blue Dragon Army, I think that's what they're called, I keep forgetting, because, you know, I'm used to Japanese names, then I say this is one you totally need to pick up. But, you know, if you're and let's be honest, you're better off probably, you know, if you like MetalGreymon, this MetalGreymon, you probably just want to get that special one they have that is like, you know, fires off its bits and lights up. Because this one is more, it's better in the individual Digimon forms, while this one looks better in its fusion form, but even then I don't like how the wings are on the back. So overall, I'm gonna say I would not recommend this Digimon toy, but, you know, don't expect much from its combined form. Honestly, I think they made a few mistakes on designing it, but at some point, you know, it'll be kind of cool. And, well, I hope you guys enjoy it. It's I know I'm a bit long-winded, but, you know, totally, if you want to see, you know, if you want to see me do more videos and maybe whatnot, I totally will. But anyway, you guys totally support this, because this is, you know, get the Digimon, get the card game. Get the card game, definitely. That is something we need to keep happening. Because as it is, we do not have much we can hope for in things. And the card game is unique. I gotta say I enjoy it, but I haven't been able to get into a truly competitive environment for it. So I don't know how the gameplay goes. So anyway, I guess that's good. And if you're getting the card game, be warned, the cards for these guys aren't, I don't think there's enough cards out there to help you out as much as you need them to be. So anyway, I guess that's all I got. So this is Nicholas Webb, peace, love, and peanut butter. And just, you know, keep careful out there, and well, as Will Terrell says, keep smiling.